Everyone starting to watch this. This is the author, Kate, of her book, The Tango Effect. Welcome. And I'm so excited to be here and talk to you about your book. And I'm excited to share this with everyone else who had a chance to read your book as well.
Right.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Where are you located?
I'm in Cambridge in the UK.
Okay. And how long have you been dealing with Parkinson's?
I was diagnosed in 2004, so that
2004.
in 17 years.
Wow.
Mm.
Long time.
So yeah, it's I slow progression at first, and so I actually started dancing Argentine tango a couple of years before I was diagnosed.
Oh, okay.
And then after diagnosis, I kind of danced less and less and practically gave it up.
Oh,
But when I came to Cambridge about 10 years ago, I met one of my co-authors in the book and got started dancing again.
wow. I think
Really,
in your book you talked a little bit about how your Parkinson's you first started noticing like stiffness in your shoulder. Was that how it kind of started for you, or what were the first things you noticed?
that was right, some stiffness. The first thing I really noticed was my handwriting.
That's right. Okay.
To a sort of cramped, almost illegible. It's completely illegible now. And also, I used to run on a machine at the gym at the time, and I noticed in the mirror that my right arm was just kind of hanging, not really moving like it does normally when you're running.
Oh, yeah.
So those were the first signs, and it was suggested by one of my colleagues. I was teaching at the time that I should go and get it checked out. But I was completely unprepared for the diagnosis. I had no idea. I thought,
Yeah.
maybe trapped nerve or something.
And how did you feel when you were first told that you had Parkinson's?
I was shocked and sort of stunned, really. The consultant just said something like, "I'm pretty sure you have Parkinson's. I'm going to go and leave you to think about that for 5 minutes." And he left the room, and there was nobody to kind of talk over with, or so I had a little cry, and then I went back to work. But I just felt just stunned. I wasn't prepared for it at all.
Wow. What was your job at the time?
I was teaching.
School teaching. Teaching English.
Yeah, English, and yeah, mostly English, a bit of drama.
Oh, drama. So, okay.
I kept that going for a while, but eventually that just proved too difficult, so I stopped teaching.
Yeah. Did you tell your job about it when you were first diagnosed?
I confided in somebody who I didn't really know very well. I took over a class from her when I got back to work that same day. But I did tell my job. And they were actually very supportive. They put lots of changes in place to help me.
Oh, that's great.
And, it was. They were very helpful, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what first brought you to practice tango? You said you started before Parkinson's.
Yeah. Well, it was an accident, actually, because in my naivete, I wanted to learn salsa. And at the time, I was living in a fairly remote corner of the north of England, and there weren't any salsa classes. But really bizarrely, a man from the Scottish Highlands turned up in a small town where I was teaching and started an Argentine tango class. And I went along thinking, well, if I can't do salsa, maybe I can do tango. But of course, once I discovered Argentine tango, salsa didn't have a look in really. But yeah, it was a very unlikely coincidence of place and opportunity, really.
Okay. So what so what made you like, so which one, you obviously like tango more than salsa.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There's no competition really.
No competition. And you can do both at the same time, right? Sometimes you mix both of them.
Not really. Some people do. Some tango friends I know also dance salsa, but it's actually quite rare. I think once people get the tango bug, then they don't really take any other form of dance seriously.
The tango fever.
Yeah, yeah. It does have quite a pull, I think, because it is the most extraordinary experience, really.
You said that you stopped dancing after your diagnosis. Why did you stop?
Well, I suppose gradually the Parkinson's undermined my confidence in every area. Balance, just social interaction, everything. It kind of eats away at your confidence, as I'm sure you're aware. And even though I knew that tango was supposed to be, that dance was supposed to be good for people with Parkinson's, and maybe tango in particular, I just lost it really. And it was only, I had several goes at keeping it going, including a first visit to Argentina with a group from the north of England.
Yeah.
But
you do write about quite a bit about that in your book. It's very interesting. I can tell that experience was very profound and very influential for your life and for using tango. You went to Argentina after you were diagnosed?
Yeah, the first time was about 4 years after I was diagnosed.
Okay. So how long did you stop dancing after you were diagnosed?
Probably for 3 or 4 years. I just danced less and less and found it more and more difficult to get myself onto the floor and to have the confidence to, to sort of.
So what made you like start again?
What made me, I had several attempts to start again, but it was meeting John, the main co-author of the book, that because he was teaching tango at the time, but he was very interested in the fact that tango might actually help Parkinson's, help my experience of Parkinson's. So he kind of took me on and took on the challenge, I suppose, of exploring exactly what tango could do.
Right. Okay.
So I had I joined his group classes, and I also had individual lessons with him, which are kind of documented in the book. But as much as anything, it was his belief in the fact that, together we could make some sort of progress. We could crack this thing. And whilst it wasn't a kind of an entirely magical solution, it did actually, the fact that somebody believed that that I could dance, and that, with help, where we could make some progress together was what made the difference, I think, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I owe him a
I
lot.
think I really liked the one part in your book where you talked about um like just having someone who unconditionally supports and believes in you is the key to helping anyone reach their potential. I really,
Absolutely.
really liked that. That was really powerful.
Absolutely.
That's
I
true
think that
for anybody.
absolutely, yeah, in any sphere. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, yeah. In a way, in an ideal world, that unconditional regard is at the heart of tango, because
Mm,
there are, I mean, there is bad practice in tango, and there are all sorts of that there are negatives, but at its best, tango is a meeting of two people that relies on that unconditional acceptance,
yeah.
because it's unique, I think, in that it's not a sequence dance. You don't learn a sequence of steps that you then repeat.
Mm,
So how you dance, how you proceed, is absolutely defined by the unspoken communication between yourself and your partner.
right.
So like any conversation, if you say something and I hear you, then I respond hopefully in a way that means something to you,
Yeah.
rather than just with what I hoped you would say or whatever. And
Yeah.
that kind of acceptance
Mm,
is a very powerful thing for somebody for whom the confidence is going. It's
yeah.
particularly since communication is often difficult for somebody with Parkinson's. You spoke about the difficulty of your father's voice, for example,
Yeah.
and when spoken communication can be tricky, then speaking without words in response to the music can be a very powerful thing, and a real experience of intimacy, which is particularly important for somebody like myself who's been single for a number of years.
Mm,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. I think that you talked a lot um, about the relationship and how dancing, when you dance tango with your partner, it's the dance is a lot alike, like learning to communicate with people. Like in everyday life, you have to learn how to communicate with people, and you learn how to deal with that people and support people, and they support you. And the dance is just like that. You're dancing tango. You have to be in tune with the other person.
that's right, yeah.
And
And also, I suppose, in tune with other people on the floor,
mm, right.
because you rarely dance with just one other person. Although I do have a friend who comes around now, and we practice
Mm,
sometimes, but most of the time in a social situation, in a
mm,
milonga. You'll be dancing with other couples on the floor. So that awareness of other people extends beyond, your partner too.
right. And um, I think you did a really incredible job at showing all the different ways that tango helped you to live well with your Parkinson's and to still like to participate in your passion and like just the interpersonal being in tune with people, but also dealing with certain symptoms like stiffness or freezing. How did it help you with those things?
Well, those things actually go on the dance floor. I mean, 17 whatever years down the line, my Parkinson's is worse now than it was when I wrote the book. But still, the stiffness I feel, the rigidity, the freezing, all are things, particularly freezing, which plague me at the moment in the real world, on the dance floor. They just don't get a look in.
Right.
So, and that seems remarkable. I wobble sometimes, but I don't freeze, and I never fallen on the dance floor as I do in
because when you're doing the tango, you're doing like you're doing many different things that you do in everyday life. Like, sorry, I don't know tango well, but from your book, I can imagine that you're doing the step back, you're doing a step forward, the side steps, and these are movements you do in everyday life that people with Parkinson's can struggle with.
Sure, and also with the length of your stride, that is difficult in Parkinson's, to sustain a sort of reasonable length of stride. Also to initiate movement and to vary the speed of your movement, to respond to movement.
Right.
And to negotiate obstacles.
Negotiate. You talked about external cues. I think that's something important. External cues, and
there's been quite a lot of research about that, physical benefits of tango, and one of the exercises that is built into some treatment programs involves stepping over a partner's foot, and that's something that is a regular feature of tango. So physically, there are key kind of similarities between treatment programs and tango, and the music, of course, is music is known to be an unlocker, really, of there's a really brilliant chapter in an Oliver Sacks book called Musicophilia, about a chapter on what he calls the kinetic stutter of Parkinson's. And he looked at research in the 1960s, I think, at Beth Abraham Hospital, where music was seen to unlock, that's his word, unlock the kind of frozenness of Parkinson. So the music is
you talked quite a bit about the music in your book, and how the music is just as important as the dance, or malinga. The malinga is like the dance meeting that you have.
Yes, it has a really rich history, and there's a sense, I think, when we dance, that it kind of links us with the other people on the other side of the world, and 150, 200 years of history, really.
I found that really interesting in your book when you talked about the history of tango and how it has changed over the years, and how it changed from like Argentina to now all over the world.
Yeah, it is. It is an international phenomenon now, and there are pockets of, well, tango everywhere. But Berlin particularly is supposed to be fantastic. I've never been to Berlin, let alone to dance, but I have a friend who goes regularly. So there's a lot of tango in mainland Europe. And Argentina has really struggled with with COVID and the pandemic generally. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of milongas have folded, I think, and a lot of teachers have managed for years to kind of scratch a living from teaching tango are finding it difficult to continue.
So if me or anyone else listening were interested in maybe trying tango, where should we start? How do we get started?
Um, I would have a look online for your in your area, because for sure there will be milongas, there will be groups meeting, might be in a church hall or a school, or and those groups are probably the best place to start. Some will have classes.
Yeah.
We Sorry, go on.
Well, like the Malinga, what is
Milonga.
the, it's not just like a meeting where people meet and dance. What is the significance of that word? You say that a lot in your book, Malinga. Like,
So, milonga actually has three meanings. It means originally it means the dance hall, and then it comes to mean, by extension, the event that happens in the dance hall. But it's all, the milonga is also the name of a particular kind of tango. It's kind of faster dance.
oh,
There are actually three strains in tango. There's a milonga, a waltz, a tango waltz, and tango itself. And the milonga is, but generally the term is used for a social event. So in Cambridge, in the UK, every other Tuesday at the moment, we have a milonga, which is basically 3.5 hours of dancing.
wow.
So people come along and the music starts, and the evening is organized into sets of dances. So the convention is that you dance maybe one set with a partner, and then you clear the floor, and then you find another partner for the
Oh,
next set of songs.
wow.
So and
So you get to know this group, you
sure,
different people.
yeah. And the convention is that you don't go up to somebody and ask them to dance, but you look around the room and you make eye contact.
Wow.
And so you make eye contact and nod, and hopefully you get the right person. And then once that agreement is made in that unspoken way, then you meet on the edge of the dance floor.
Okay. That's really interesting. You talked about that in your book. Like you didn't say what this, but you painted a scene of like you sitting at a table, feeling a little nervous, and you're looking around the room, and your eyes meet with someone across the room, and you struggle to get onto your feet, and you make your way to the dance floor. And it was you painted a really great picture of that. Just I think that whole experience could be really beneficial for someone with Parkinson's, or anyone, because you're socializing and you're moving, and
Absolutely.
you're connecting with different people, maybe not just the same person every time, but you're connecting with a group.
That's right. Yeah. So last Tuesday, I went along to our local milonga, and my dancing, I'm kind of aware that I can do less in the dance than I could do a couple of years ago. And sometimes I feel like a bit of a liability, but there's one partner in particular that I love to dance with, because he doesn't care how limited my capacity is, or he absolutely follows the idea of being wholly open himself and accepting me as I am. And it's
Tango is really about like about like connecting with that person and being in tune with the person that you're with, no matter who you are dancing with. You have to find a way to be in tune with that person
in that moment. Yeah,
in that
exactly.
moment.
In that moment, and to that music, because
and when that does really happen, when you are really in tune and connected and in the moment with that person, you said that your Parkinson's is not, it's not there. You're in the tango. Parkinson's is kind of disappears in that moment for you.
Yeah, it's a very moving experience. In fact, I ended up on Tuesday sobbing into Derek's chest for 5 minutes, because I was just so moved, really, by the acceptance and by the strength of the connection, the communication, and so on. And yeah, it is amazing, really. And it doesn't always happen, you know. There are times when you dance with somebody and it doesn't really work, and you don't really feel a connection. And
right. And maybe the first time when you first dance with someone, it might not happen immediately. Maybe it will take a few times before you get tuned.
Yeah. So when you learn tango, it tends to be taught in an open embrace. So a kind of space between you and your partner.
Yeah.
But tango is essentially a dance of close embrace. So you feel very held, I think.
Yeah. So for someone with Parkinson's, or anyone who wants to get involved and try tango, you find a local group or an online group. But for someone with Parkinson's, just what would you say in approaching a group? And maybe it would be maybe a little nerve-wracking for people to join a group like that who have Parkinson's. How can you like talk to the leader of the group and tell them about your situation? So
I would
help you to.
I would recommend doing that. And you know, there are groups now in various parts of the world who do teach tango specifically for people with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
There are other dance for Parkinson's groups as well, but yeah, I would be bold and get in touch with a local group and talk to them about your circumstances.
Be bold. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Like, even if you have some limitation, like, don't let that stop you. You should be bold and put yourself out there. And
it's hard. It's challenging for sure.
It's scary. It's challenging. You'll be surprised that people are really most people are understanding and will want to support you, and people want to see you be successful and be happy.
Sure. Yeah. And most people have something wrong, you know, some challenge or
Of their own.
or problems or whatever. Yeah. So
Yeah, most people are going through their own issues, their own health problems too.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
that's great. Well, thank you so much for meeting and talking to me more about your book.
It's been a pleasure, Jacob.
Yeah. If anyone is interested in reading Kate's book, The Tango Effect, you can find it on Amazon. Um, and you can buy it in the Kindle. I got the Kindle version. I usually get all my books in Kindle.
Sure.
Or you can buy a paperback, right?
I think it's out in paperback. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And also, yeah, if try tango, try dancing. Just try it. Be bold. Try something new, and just put yourself out there and try it. See, you never know, you might ignite a new passion in your life.
It might be life changing.
Right. Yeah, and you might meet some really amazing people.
Sure.